Welcome to The Right Expert with Bob Craig.
Welcome to The Right Expert with Bob Craig. Bob Craig is a managing director and associate general counsel at BRG, who helps lawyers identify and retain expert witnesses for complex litigation. With more than 50 years of legal experience spanning military service, private practice, academia, and in-house leadership, Bob brings a unique perspective to the art of finding the right expert for the right case. I'm Lisa Mosbey, your host, and today we're talking about Bob's background and how he built a career in expert matching and what lawyers can expect from this show. Welcome, Bob. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Bob, to start, can you explain how you ended up helping lawyers find expert witnesses?
Well, I had a career mostly in-house, managing litigation for a number of, 4 companies here in Houston. In that context, I obviously was paying for experts and paying for law firms. I have involved myself fairly directly in our larger litigation and got involved in the selection of experts, the interview of experts, and so forth, and got to know a number of expert companies. As I was ready to retire from waste management, I was approached with the idea that maybe I could switch and turn all those lawyers who had me as clients into my own clients. I had a couple of questions whether that was right. It was interesting because I read the book Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. And
Gladwell? Is that Malcolm Gladwell?
Yeah, excuse me. And I realized that I did know a lot of people, maybe unintentionally, but I was a connector. I tended to put people together in my role as an in-house lawyer, and I thought I could use that in this capacity as well. Had been active in the American Bar Association litigation section, had chaired the Committee of Corporate Counsel, and just had a fairly deep relationship with a lot of different lawyers in a lot of parts of the country and internationally. So that seemed obvious that I would have a client base. Whether I could do the job or not, I didn't know, because it was post-retirement, if you will. And that was the question that I just decided to break through and see how it went. And so I moved from in-house counsel on a Friday, where I was the client, to being a director and working with lawyers that were my clients now. And my role is, I work for a company that is, BRG is an expert-based company. We have experts broadly, internationally, and nationally, obviously. We have in a group, the Economic Damages and Investigative Group, that I mostly work with, who provide the services that litigators need in the context of preparing and their cases and putting their cases on to the court with expert witnesses. So I'm seeking to match my firm's experts with the needs of the attorneys who I work with.
And I'm just curious, what separates an expert or a useful expert witness from someone with a strong resume?
Well, I don't want to underplay the fact that every expert needs a strong resume. That's important, but there's a talent to being able to talk to a jury, talk to a court, talk to an arbitrator, to tell a story, to present, to understand the role that they have in the case. Sometimes the case pivots on the expert, and that's something the expert needs to understand and know. And often the expert's just a bridge to get from one point to another, and they're not the heart of the case. They have to have that ability to appreciate how to present and take part in the litigation process.
And Bob, how do you assess like communication style, credibility, and the fit when you're selecting an expert?
The fit is hopefully involving my understanding of the lawyer who's seeking the expert as well, and the need for whether there is a need for someone to get up and down and a real base presentation, or whether they're going to be an integral part of putting together the case, and working with the lawyer on depositions and presentations and the like. So the fit is both personality and also need and use.
I'm curious the process of it, how you evaluate and how you work through this. You've listened to so many experts in all of your years of experience. Not everybody has that. So I'm curious how do lawyers underestimate about the human side of the expert selection?
Well, if you mean the personality, I think that sometimes the interview process, when it's two people who don't know each other, is a little bit dominated by the lawyer, and the lawyer can really, I want to do this right, but some lawyers are great at interviewing the experts and getting what they're looking for. Others tend to want to hear themselves speak and really don't listen or don't give the expert the chance to really express how they would approach a case and how they would work with the lawyers. It's interesting because that's so critical. When we do interviews, at least my experts are going to be prepared, and so they really are coming into the process where they need to get the background and the sense of the lawyer, but they're ready to go in terms of helping the lawyer understand how they can participate in the case and how they can make the case a better, present it better.
Bob, I'm going to have you tap into some of that experience. Can you share an experience that changed the way you think about experts or litigation teams?
Wow, that's an interesting one, and I'm not sure I have a really good example. My first expert was a 16-year-old girl who testified about the speed of a car in a wrongful death case. It was interesting because when questioned and cross-examined by the other side, who thought she didn't have the ability to do that, turned out her father owned a drag strip and she was really good at guessing speeds of cars. Anyway, experts can, I would say that working, I worked an arbitration case with an expert now deceased who was just wonderful in really appreciating the issues that the counsel was facing, and being there for them with good ideas and with ideas that were broadly important to the case, even if the expert wasn't going to be the one testifying about those specific things. Not that they were lawyering the case, but but in their expertise, they had a unique appreciation for the needs of the lawyer, and it worked well. It was those two ended up close friends. I remember they took a fishing trip to Patagonia together later on after the case. So yeah, it can be a very symbiotic relationship in a major piece of litigation.
Bob, back to that 16-year-old girl. I bet the other side was surprised and shocked to have a young girl talking about automotive speeds as an expert witness.
Yeah, it was maybe the barrier to getting the expert in was a little lower than you would find in most federal courts today. But
Sure.
at that point, and this was way back in the 70s, uh, that was something that she could testify to, and it was a question whether the jury believed her or not, but it was pretty strong evidence that she was not going to be far off
Mhm.
on how fast a car was going.
What kinds of challenges in expert retention, complex litigation, and case strategy are you hoping that this show will explore?
I'm obviously hoping that people will call me up and say, "Bob, I need an expert who." Right before the call, I received an email from a client that I've never worked with before in expertise. I've known her for a long time, and just a simple inquiry into a need for a damages expert in specifically a construction matter. Uh, that's what I live on is the excitement of getting the call that somebody needs somebody, and then trying to find the right person for that job.
Wonderful. And then how do you work with the attorney and the expert? Do they meet ahead of time or do they just show up for court on that day after reviewing what's asked of them?
In the complex cases, we're talking about teams that the experts have working with the teams the lawyers have to put the matters together. It's very rare that you'll see an expert, at least our experts who are generally very attuned to the legal aspects of what's going on, uh, go off and do their thing and then just show up. That's not how it works. So initially, I'm trying to find a situation where I'll feel like the expert and the lawyer will get along and will work together well. And in most cases, that's true. That's not as hard as it sounds, but it is important that I think in those terms, because it's going to be a long, I say long relationship. The project may only be a few months until the expert gives his deposition or her deposition, and then that's in the can for a while until there's a need to go to court if that ever occurs.
So they are connected for a bit. Uh, I want to thank you for your insights today, and I look forward to hearing more from you about expert witnesses and how this process continues to work and how you can support the attorneys who are listening. Thank you, Bob.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That's it for today's episode of The Right Expert with Bob Craig. If you'd like to learn more about Bob Craig and BRG's work in expert services and complex litigation support, visit thinkbrg.com. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to like, leave a review, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.